John Tondeur, thanks for coming in today to speak to us. You've covered Grimsby Town games for 40 years. How do you feel about hanging up your mic?
It's sort of strange, really. I know I'm going to miss it, but then again, I think the time is right. I start to make a couple of little mistakes and don't feel quite sharp. So maybe now's the time to go, really, rather than being told in a couple of years that it's time to go.
Let's go back to 1983 when you first started with Radio Humberside. How did you even get that role?
Well, I'd done a couple of bits for Radio Humberside before. I'd entered a pop quiz with a guy called Tim Gibson, and I won that. And then we had a year, it's like a Champions League one at the end. I won that mainly because I had the same quiz book as he had. And he invited me over to Hull, because I used to do it on the phone or wherever. And we got on really well, and he's still a good friend now. And then he asked me to do a couple of other things. First thing he ever did was, can you go and interview the Four Tops? Yeah. So and they were the first people I ever interviewed, and they were so nice. And then I got to know one or two other people, did a couple of other things. And then one of the guys I knew got the boss's job. And then Dave Gibbons, who was the guy in front of me, people think it was Charles Eckberg, but it wasn't. Charles did do it before Dave Gibbons. And Gibbo did it for a while. He left quite suddenly, so they were desperate for somebody. They knew I was a town fan, and they said, can you come for an interview, which was basically, when can you start? I had to do a dummy run on an old reel-to-reel tape machine here against Portsmouth. And it was, I think, Portsmouth won 4-3, 7 goals. I had to keep bending down and doing the tape machine, so I don't think I saw any of those 7 goals, but made a living out of that ever since.
So was that your first proper game as a
First proper games that went on air was at Leeds. I think we did commentary at Leeds, but I didn't do commentary in those days, so I was the sort of crofty figure, if you like. And then the first game I did here was Huddersfield, where I think Town won 2-1. But again, people forget we didn't do commentary in those days. It was only sort of 30-second flashes. Very occasionally you were allowed to do second half commentary, but you weren't allowed to tell anybody until kick-off time. And you're only allowed to do second half, and you used to share it sometimes with the opposition station. So, you had to be very sort of measured in what you said.
Just fast forward a little bit from there, and you got to see the back-to-back promotions under Alan Buckley. At that time, did you have a feeling it was a special time for the club?
I think I did, yes. And I think, the biggest problem with that is a lot of people didn't. And I think it's only now, looking back, that people realise how great that was. And I keep saying, just get out the Alan Buckley years DVD and watch the goals. And your first goal you'll see is wow, then another goal, wow. And then you keep going. Some of the football played, there's the famous goal against Huddersfield, which is, I agree with Rolly Godfrey, that, the best goal you'll ever see on any pitch anywhere in the world. But there were loads and loads of games like that. But as I say, I don't think people appreciated it. While it was here, it's a bit like Scunthorpe United, where they were and where they are now. I don't think a lot of times you don't appreciate things till it's gone.
And then, of course, under Alan, you got to commentate at Wembley twice for the first 2 times. What sort of experience was that for you as well?
Well, it was strange in a way, because I was really looking forward to it. But then when we got there, both those occasions, we were in a really enclosed box at the back of the stand, away from everything. And we didn't really have much effects mic coming on, so it felt sort of very distant, really. And it was difficult to get the atmosphere going because you didn't have the crowd noise, which is something that really, really helps you, which is why you can always tell when somebody's doing commentary after the fact and putting it on afterwards, because it sounds false. It's only when you've got the crowd noise, really, that you can really show the atmosphere that's building up. So although it was great, and the first game I got Wayne Burnett's golden goal. The second game I didn't get the goal. Gibbo commentated on it with Kevin Donovan, the Northampton game. But I enjoyed them both as occasions, but I just felt a little bit cut off because we were in this box right at the back of the stand.
Over the years, you've had plenty of co-commentators work with you as well. Who's been your favourite to work with? Not your favourite, but your favourites to work with.
Oh, there's been so many good ones. Crofty now is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He just calls it. See, Alan Buckley was really, really good. I enjoy working with Mark Gritton when we're away. But there's ones all in the past. I mean, I'm struggling to think of any that haven't really been great. I did one with JP Pittman this year. You know, he was really good. Struggling to think sort of way back, but yeah. You know, everyone's given something that, you know, that added something to my commentary, which is what they're there for.
What do you think makes a really good commentator? Not a co-commentator, but a commentator of a game.
Well, what I've just said, really, I think it has to add to what I'm saying. You know, we call them expert summarisers because, you know, 9 times out of 10 we get players, ex-players. Sometimes when we can't find one, we have to give somebody else, but most of the time it's ex-players, and so they've played the game, they can read the game, they know how players are feeling at certain times and can read other things as well. So, you know, that's what they're there for. It's a bit like now, because sometimes people watch the game and listen to my commentary. That's a completely different skill. You have to add something to the pictures. Radio basically is you're just giving the pictures to people who can't see them.
Was there any particular commentators growing up or in your youth or when you were a young man that you took inspiration from, and sort of aspects of what they did that you tried to bring to your own commentating?
No one in particular, I don't think. I've always sort of liked Martin Tyler. Always liked Tyler. I always think he was always able to add things to the pictures. Radio commentary, no, not so much really, which is really what I was doing. So,
along with the promotions that we've talked about earlier, and obviously the Wembley finals, we've had quite a lot of special cup nights over the years. Are there any in particular that spring to mind as being particularly memorable for you?
Liverpool away, obviously. Although I didn't get the goal, and Burnsy got the goal, and he'll never let me forget that. Actually, it might have been he did a really good job on the goal. I'd have probably just said something I shouldn't.
Screamed.
But there was that, the Clara Golf Spurs here. Other occasions, I didn't make Southampton last year, which was a shame, but it's just one of those things I couldn't do. They all everything sort of blurs together over the years, really, but those two stand out particularly.
In your 40 years commentating, you must have seen pretty much every team play against the Mariners, but is there a side or some sides that have eluded you over the years?
Yeah, and it's the one team really we haven't played, I think, since just after the war. And I think most fans by now will know it's Manchester United. We haven't played, they've been avoiding us for all these years. And I have been to Old Trafford a couple of times to see various games, but it would have been nice to go there and commentate on the Mariners.
So when we eventually draw Man United in the FA Cup, potentially, then you might help us to come back and do a commentary.
Yeah, all right, bring me back for that one.
That's a deal. Out of all the grounds that you've visited over the years, where have you been looked after the best?
If you're talking in terms of food and stuff like that, as you'd say Wembley and Chelsea was very good when we went there recently. The food seems to have improved over the years. Back in the day, if you're lucky if you got anything. But having said that, some of the clubs you wouldn't expect to be hospitable Millwall were always great. But, you know, and I think the reputation they've got from the fans, really, they always sort of looked after you. And, you know, it tends to be the smaller clubs who may be sometimes the friendliest. There are others where, you know, you even had to pay to get. I think it was Boreham Wood who tried to make you pay to get in, and Braintree where they charged you for a team sheet and stuff like that. But yeah, it's the big clubs provide the food, but not always the friendliness.
What do you think you'll miss most about commentating on Grimsby Town games?
Well, everything really. I think. I mean, I've always enjoyed coming here early, watching the game, watching the ground fill up, and then, you know, watching it the crowd slip away at the end. And I'll miss that. I'll miss the big games, the big wins. I won't miss interviewing the manager after a 4-0 defeat. So that's, you know, hard for manager and commentator, I think, you know, and when things are still fresh in the mind and a little bit raw. So yeah, but I think the actual, you know, the big moments, commentating on the big moments I'll miss.
John, from everyone at the club, thank you for being there to tell the story over the years, and we hope you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the fans who've supported me throughout, really, and have given me some fantastic memories themselves, and some great messages when I announced I was quitting. So thank you.